Hello and welcome back. Today I am going to be sharing my experience of using the Canon Ef 200-400 with the built-in 1.4 extender. This is a Canon Ef mount lens that I am adapting to my Canon R6 for soccer this weekend. Typically, to use a teleconverter, you have to attach it to the end of the lens. Today I have the EF to the RF mount so I can use it on my Canon R6, and the teleconverter is built in and all you gotta do is flip this switch. So originally a 200-400 f4 lens, by flipping the teleconverter switch on this lens, you're taking it from a 280 to 560 f5.6. So knowing that I was gonna have plenty of light to use this at soccer, I knew I was gonna have no issue testing this lens out and being able to use the teleconverter as well without bumping my ISO too high. It was a very sunny weekend. We had 2 soccer games. I'm shooting another one today. The second one is today, but I've shot 1 game with it so far. I wanted to share my experience and what I'm gonna be trying to do today to kind of battle any issues that I had. So first off, I set my ISO, I think I was around 320 to 400, and then I was in aperture priority. That way it was just gonna adjust my shutter speed for me. And then halfway through, I did just go fully manual, set my ISO, set the f-stop at f4, and set my shutter speed at wherever it needed to be to battle the sun. We had very direct sun, it was very warm, which that caused some issues in itself. The heat waves coming off of the turf caused the autofocus to be a little wonky and be hunting or slightly just soft sometimes. So I had to find a different area to shoot from. Typically with my 300, I would sit on the turf and be just fine. But being at that further reach at 400, or if I flip to the 1.4 to 560, I found there was a little bit of issue. So I had to step back and shoot off of the field a little bit and slightly up a little higher. Like I said, typically I'm sitting. This time around, I threw the monopod on, so it was at my height, so about 6'1", 6'2". Once I did this, I found I had no issues with the autofocus, and sometimes I even shot from up above the turf a little bit, so our pitch sits down a little bit. So there's some areas where you can get up about 7 feet above the field and shoot down, which is a cool angle, but I prefer a lower angle. But to fight the heat waves causing any issues with my autofocus, I had to move around. So I got up a little bit and tried that out. So I'm not sure if I mentioned it already, but this is an EF mount lens. So I had to use the adapter to adapt it to my Canon R6. I have the 1st generation. So if I mention any autofocus issues, I'm sure it works perfectly fine on an EF mount lens or even a newer R6 Mark II or the R5 that has a newer autofocus system than the R6. Overall, my experience with this lens was very, very fun. I enjoyed having that extra reach to 400, being able to zoom out to 200 if they came in pretty close to me. But overall, I had fun having that extra reach and being able to just hit that switch at any time and get all the way to 560 was really, really fun. Now, I will say my experience with teleconverters typically work out like this. They typically are a little soft on the autofocus or a little soft on the image overall. I don't know if it's that extra reach and it's just being magnified and it's not through the nice big glass like a traditional 400 or a traditional, like say a 500 or 600 lens would be. You're just kind of adding a magnifying glass into it. So I found that some of the images were a little soft when it came to fast action and panning with that action. But overall, I got some solid shots using the teleconverter, but I found myself not using the teleconverter too often at soccer. Now a question might come in, is this a lens that you might look at adding to your camera bag in the future? And I really don't think so. I think what I got from testing this lens out is that I would love a 400 f2.8. Like I said, I have a 300 f2.8, and oftentimes I am wishing I had that extra reach. And hopefully that's not one of those things where once you get a 400, you're like, oh, I would love a 600. But I found myself at 400 pretty often with this lens and didn't zoom out to 200 all so often. I really enjoyed the extra reach of the 400. I think having a 400 at f2.8 would be even better, having that shallow depth of field and that really good separation from the background. So luckily you're able to rent lenses like this. There's plenty of companies out there and probably local stores in bigger cities that have lens rental programs, but I always rent from Lens Pro To Go. This is not sponsored. They've literally never sent me anything for free, but I've been using them for at least 3 years now, I think, and I've had a handful of lenses come through, probably close to 20 rentals overall. And every lens that I've had, it's always just fun trying out something new and figuring out if it's something that you would want to work towards or sell some gear to get. I think I did rent a 300 f2.8 before I ended up buying mine. It's a nice way to figure out if it's something that you actually want or if it's just more of like a hype thing because you know people are saying you should get it or you've seen people using that lens. So with that said, if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments below. I would appreciate if you would like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see most of my current work, as I'm usually posting it up pretty quickly after the game. But with that said, I will see you in the next one.